just finished my third infusion yesterday, and it was a much different experience than the first one. It was really intense, and I went there with the purpose of working on a lot of my triggering memories that have caused the PTSD symptoms. So I kind of went into the last two infusions thinking about specific events or traumas that I kind of wanted to go through in my mind while I was under. And it was just such an incredible experience. While I was under, each of these different memories came back to me that were, most of them were traumatic ones that had been negative. And it's so hard to explain, but it was like I was able to be there next to myself in these memories. And in some cases, I was able to like hold my own hand. But in all of the cases, I could feel my own presence in them, if that makes sense. And it made the memory less upsetting because it felt complete, as if like that I wasn't alone in those memories anymore, that my own presence came back to them and like comforted me. And now looking back at like those, there were 3 specific memories that I went through while I was under yesterday, and now I can look back at them and they just don't have the same power like already. They feel more resolved to me and less painful. A lot of my trigger responses are just much lower, and that's the anxiety of just even like discussing it or thinking about being specific about any of these traumas is just so dramatically lower. I wish I could explain it like further, and I know that everyone's experience doing the ketamine infusion is gonna be different, but I found personally that 2 things were most important, and that was my attitude going into it and the setting in which I was getting it done. So my attitude would more be in tune with what I wanted to get out of it. Thinking before I went to the sessions, what do I want to get from this experience today? What am I willing to go through? What am I open to thinking about or experiencing again? And a lot of those traumas that went through my mind that I was scared about, just trying to prepare myself, were the very first ones that I was allowing myself to be open to experiencing again while I was under, and kind of rewriting the narrative of them. And then this setting where I had my infusions, it was a clinical setting. It was supervised. Obviously, if you saw my last video, the part 1 where you can actually see me getting the treatment. If you haven't seen that one, I would pause this one and go back and watch that first. But the setting was really important because I knew I was being monitored. I knew I was safe. I knew like nothing was going to happen to me. And there was a lot of comfort in that. But it was also like just a very homey, comfortable environment. And it made it less intimidating, and I felt just very, very safe in that setting. And I think that along with my attitude and what I was willing to go in there to do, what work I was willing to do while I was under, had such a different impact on each session as I went through. The first one, I really kind of went in with the attitude that this probably isn't gonna work because nothing's ever worked. And I was resistant to it, and I think that showed in my results on the first one. I felt the effects of the ketamine in the first session, but it wasn't anywhere near the experience I had in the next 2 sessions. And I think that had a lot to do with being more accepting in what I was willing to experience and like what work I was willing to do afterwards. So I have 3 more to go, and as soon as I'm done, I will update on how it went and my experience kind of overall.
Every day when I wake, I'm trying to get up and I can make can stop me tonight. You make me feel just like a tidal wave. You make me brave. Don't lie, tiny, tiny, lights on, laser light. Like the road of victory and a steady climb. Who can touch me? 'Cause I'm who can stop me tonight?
I finished my infusions 2 weeks ago, and I wanted to kind of take some time in between finishing them and giving an update, so just to see what the effects were and how long they were gonna last. And to be honest, part of me was still really skeptical. After the third one, I had the weekend off, and then I went right back to the schedule of doing 2 a week until I finished. The biggest surprise and the strongest takeaway from this was the relief I received from my depression. It's not the reason I went in to do the treatment, and it ended up being the biggest benefit I got out of it. I had no idea how heavy the burden of depression was in my life until this treatment took it away from me. I never realized how much effort I put into being alive. Every morning I woke up and I had terrible suicidal thoughts, and I have a wonderful psychiatrist that I've worked with for a while who patiently tried lots of different things, and we had a medication combo that got me to the point where I had those thoughts, but I was able to push past them and move on with my day. But I started every single day like that, and I had no concept what kind of energy expenditure I was using to start my day, like at a 0 when I was coming from a -50. And when I wake up now, I'm happy. And this isn't, I don't want to oversell this. It's not a cure. It isn't snake oil. It's a tool. It's a tool to be used in accordance with therapy and medication. But it's had this breakthrough effect that no medication and no amount of therapy has had for me. And I'm so incredibly grateful that this was an opportunity I was able to seize and use. It's impacted every aspect of my life, and I wish I could give that to everybody else. I thought for a long time that the depression, anxiety that I had, and the PTSD triggers that caused a lot of the anxiety were a part of my life forever. They were something that I was going to therapy and taking medication to learn how to live with. I did not realize and I did not expect that those things could ever go away. And I'm just incredibly grateful to be able to wake up in the morning and be genuinely happy and not have to put so much effort into just surviving. And I hope that anyone that's watching this that feels like nothing works, nothing is ever gonna work, and that they'll always be depressed. There are other treatments, and I hope that other people look into them. I hope you take away from this video a curiosity for the ketamine treatment, and you go and look it up on your own. Everyone deserves to be happy, and everyone deserves to not have to carry around so much. I didn't realize how much it was until it was gone. And I'm doing this video in my room because I wanted to share this bed. This is our bed, and this is where I've spent so many days wondering how it was going to go on, how I was gonna make it through the next day, angry at myself for wasting time feeling that way. and now it's just a bed. And I can't put into words how powerful that is for me. And I hope other people find that too. If you would like more information on ketamine infusion therapy, you can head to alleviant.com/Naples, or you can comment below, and I'll have a link in the information section or up here if you want to click on it. And that's all for this week.